this is Mike with Christian Meds. This week I want to talk a little bit more about intent. So let's get started. So when it comes to intent, this week I ended up celebrating my anniversary and going to Eureka Springs and spent a few days up there with my wife. And that place has a lot of new age type shops up there. And one of the things that, because I own, singing bowls and things like that, and that would be considered new age in a lot of Christian circles. I just kind of wanted to talk about intent and kind of explain a few things when it comes to why I use singing bowls. I use them more as instruments than I do as some magical power, or that they, speak to a certain nuance of personality, or, like somebody has trouble speaking, so therefore a throat chakra singing bowl would open that chakra up and therefore allow somebody to speak, things like that. When it comes to somebody's intent, if that is a coping mechanism to help somebody speak, then you can end up making something manifest just due to your belief, right? So when it comes to these bowls, for me, it's just a way to shift somebody's state. In other words, I can play a singing bowl and most of them are relaxing. They usually make a very pleasant tone or sound, and there's all kinds of different things you can do with singing bowls. For me, they're just instruments. They're nothing magical, they're anything like that. And that's my intent in using them, is that it ends up, putting somebody in a more relaxed state, so that God can do the healing. It has nothing to do with, some sort of magical power placed within the bowl, or a certain frequency causing certain effects. If it comes down to any of this kind of stuff, when you start really researching it and understanding what traditions are tied to them, you end up realizing that there's actually different patterns to lay out the bowls depending on what belief system you have. For me, I lean more towards the Dantian, Eastern type beliefs, which has a lot of martial arts and things like that behind it, where there's really only 3 power sources, basically: top of the head, your heart, and your root chakra, basically. They basically call those Dantians. They're basically just power sources. Really, when it comes to top of your head, to your midsection, really it's like a rainbow of frequencies, and we all kind of pick up on them, One of the things when I was basically walking into one of these shops, I could really pick up on a lot of negative energy within a shop, and that is one of the things I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this week. When it comes to these energy forces around us, we can be very much a positive energy force or a negative energy force, and we pick up on these things. Just because somebody calls themselves Christian doesn't mean that they actually have the Holy Spirit within them, and that they're actually trying to make the world a better place. They're not actually trying to manifest the Holy Spirit within every given situation of their lives. A lot of people, anybody who's usually seeking after power, especially over people, that's usually a red flag for me. So anybody who's seeking to have some sort of power or influence over somebody, when I do my healings, I realize that, although I understand how states work and I understand how to put people in a relaxed state, but I only do that to allow the Holy Spirit to come. Not because I want to have control over the person, not because I want the person to think of me as a guru or anything like that. When people start trying to find a way to control and manipulate, that's when things really get dark and evil. When I think about a lot of this type of stuff, and I have experience with a lot of this type of stuff, I think a lot about, I knew one of the major drug dealer here in Oklahoma City, and that major drug dealer talked about how they actually did spells and incantations over meth to help sell it. So these things are really out there, and this is more of a warning type video. When you are looking at these things, and if you get a bad vibe off somebody or something, certainly be mindful of that and try to walk away. Get back to your car, get away from it, and ask the Holy Spirit to protect you from it, because these influences are truly out there in the world. Now, part of my idea with educating people about these things is that I don't want somebody to feel like there's a demon under every rock. Not that there isn't demons under some rocks, but basically the Holy Spirit within us is more powerful than any demon that's out there. So we have control over this. The demons are not controlling us. We are controlling our situation, our intent, and our nature in the way that we can basically keep ourselves protected from anything negative in our lives. Now, I've been struggling the last few weeks with depression. So, that could be considered, a demonic influence. For me, I try to be very mindful of these things. And sometimes I will still struggle, I will have trouble trying to pinpoint what is causing my negativity, what is causing me to feel down, what is causing me to feel like I don't want to get out of bed, and some days I still struggle. But when I do, I always turn to the Lord. I always know that He is my provider of my energy. He is my provider of my soul. And He loves me and He cares for me. So because of these things, this is my root. This is my absolute loving embrace that I feel from God every day. And when you have that as your joy, nobody can steal it from you unless you let them. So that was just kind of the message I want to have this week is don't let anybody ever steal your joy. Your joy is yours. It's given to you by the Lord, and the Lord loves you and cares for you. So just have a blessed week, and we'll talk again next week.